Greetings from NeuronThemes. In this video, we shall transmit an in-depth tutorial on how to use a post widget, how to customize it, and design it to the full extent. NeuronTheme fully supports blog posts and lists a diverse set of tools made for the sole purpose of creating awe-inspiring blogs that speak to your readers on so many levels. We are going to demystify once and forever the belief that developing the perfect website will need to devour extensive knowledge on programming skills. Leave the hard work to us. To start off, you must have established blog posts, which assuming you have. We also need to make sure that there is a static page connected to the blog. And we do that by going to Settings, Reading, and the drop box under the post page should not be assigned to any page. To create the beautiful design that you saw a sneak peek earlier, we went ahead and added a header, a footer, and a hero section to spice up our design. So let's start the building. First, let's add a section, go to the Advanced tab, and let's add a padding value of 80 pixels at the top and the bottom. Next, let's drag an intersection. We'll delete one column, and from the column gap option, we'll choose no gap. Just for clarification, we are using the intersection element to make the design more compact and save us time and trouble adjusting each element as their own entity. Moving on, we will need to drag a heading element and place it in the intersection. We will style it a little bit. Let's use the font family. We'll set the size to be 16 pixels and the line height 19 pixels. We will add a button as well. Let's add the text. You can add the button to a link. We'll use the dynamic content and link it to any page you want. Next, click on the icon library and search for the preferred icon. We are going to go with this right arrow. Set the icon positioning to after and set the icon spacing to the value of 10. Let's style the button. We'll tweak the typography option. Let's add a text color and we'll reduce the transparency to 0. And lastly, from the Style tab, let's adjust the padding and give it a value of 0. To align the two elements like in the design that we saw earlier, we'll select the heading element first, go to the Advanced tab, and from the positioning, choose the width in line. The same procedure will be taken with the See More button. Click on the column handle to open the Options tab, and from the Content tab, select the vertical alignment to middle and set the horizontal align to space between. And there you have it, magic. Let's move the post element and let's drag it into the page. All the options on the left will help you design and customize the element and create exceptionally looking blog posts. Let's start with the first tab, the Content tab. The Layout section will define options like the skin. You can choose either classic or cards. Both will provide unique looking blog posts. Select the number of columns to be shown. For the sake of our design, we went with the 2 posts per row. Define the number of posts per page. Image position will allow you to set the image at the top, left, or right. You can choose a blog post to be shown in a carousel display or choose from various layouts like grid, masonry, or metro. Set the image size to full. You can set the exact ratio of the image and the exact width of the image by dragging the handle. You can switch the handle on and off to hide or show the title. In our case, we are going to hide the excerpt. On the metadata option, we will decide to remove the comments and add the author. You can add or remove options depending on the information you want to add. Let's add a separator between the metadata and hide the Read More button. Moving on to the query section. Here you can include or exclude posts based on your selection. You can include by term or author and add posts based on your taxonomy. You can order your content based on the date, title, menu order, random, or organize them via the ascending or descending order. The pagination section will allow you to add pagination. We are going to go with a combination of numbers and previous next, but to match our design, we'll remove the labels and instead, we'll add these arrows, and we'll give them a spacing of 16 pixels. If you wish to show your taxonomy, switch the filter option on. Let's have some fun and design it to match our style. From the Layout section, let's give it a value of 40 pixels to the column gap and row gap as well. We will add some animation to make the design look cooler. We went with a fading up animation and add a delay of 300 milliseconds per each 1500 delay reset. You can design the box, add its border width, border radius, or padding. In the image section, we will add a value of 24 pixels to the spacing. Proceeding with the content section, of course, we are going to tweak the typography options. Set the font family, set the size to 24 pixels and the line height to 29 pixels. And next, we'll add some spacing of 8 values. We'll design the meta descriptions as well. Let's configure the typography options. We'll change the font family, set the font size to 13 pixels, choose the transform style to uppercase, and add the value of 20 pixels to the line height. The same configuration will need to be made in the pagination as well. We will change the font family, set the size of the font to 16 pixels, and add the value of 20 pixels to the line height. Then, set the spacing to 20. What's a blog without a sidebar? Of course, we were going to add one, but from this point on, we will show you some tips and tricks how to speed up your workflow and save you tons of time. Before we dive into that, let's select the second column. Go to the Advanced tab and let's add some left padding to the value of 75. Let's add an intersection. Delete one column, and from the column gap option, we'll choose No Gap. Go to the Advanced tab and add some bottom padding of 56 value. Here's a cool trick. Let's right-click on the heading element, click Copy, and paste it onto the intersection. The same style will be transported. Let's change the style a little bit, change the text, and then set the column to add some widget space of 32 values. We'll again right-click on the post element and we'll paste it onto the intersection. Let's tweak the options. Choose only one column to be shown. The pause per page option will need to be set to 3 and remove the images by clicking on the image position and select None. At the metadata, we will remove the author and the date. The query will need to be configured as well. Choose to include other posts you want displayed on the sidebar. By selecting posts via the taxonomies like categories or tags. Let's move on to the Styles tab. The column gap will need to be set to the value of 0, and the row gap will take the value of 32 pixels. From the content section, we will add spacing to the value of 0, and on the meta section, we will set the values back to default. We will then add some social icons below using the same copy and paste method for the heading. Search for the social icons element. Select the platforms you want to include, style them, set their icons, attribute them to their respective links, and let's align them to the left. On the Styles tab, we will set the colors to be custom. Set the primary and secondary colors. The size will need to be set to the value of 18 pixels. The padding value will need to be set to 0, and the spacing will need to be set to 25 pixels. Let's add some more elements to provide the equilibrium of the composition. We've almost come to the end. To show other relevant posts, we will begin by adding a section. Go to the Styles tab, choose the background to be classic, and select a color. Next, go to the Advanced tab and add some top and bottom padding to the value of 90 and 30. Let's copy and paste the intersection from the previous element, the heading and the button that we designed. Change the title and let's edit the content. From the layout section, let's choose a post per page value to 4. The image ratio will be the value of 0.32 and the image width will take the value of 270 pixels. Let's position the image to the left and let's include other posts via the taxonomy selection. We'll remove the pagination by selecting the None option. From the Styles tab, let's adjust the options by changing the column gap and row gap to be of 60 pixels value. The animation will be arranged to spice the design a little bit. Let's choose the fade-in animation and set the delay to 0 milliseconds. The image spacing will need to be set to 0 pixels. We'll need to tweak the content options as well and set the spacing of the title to 12 pixels value. This concludes our video, and hopefully it has been informative. Make sure to click on the subscribe button and tap that bell for upcoming videos. Thank you for watching, keep creating, and be safe.